up here.
Alrighty, we are at the museum at the bay, USS Lexington. I'm fixing to make my little walk up ramp. Okay, taking a picture of this thing. You talk about a lot of gray lead paint. I don't even think they use lead anymore. But man, they even painted the life preservers, the life boat things, I guess that's what they call that. They even they painted everything gray. I guess that's what they got to do. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, doing good, doing good. But you know what? When we were on there, it was never this cool in the hangar bay. You know? Yeah, when you're talking about air conditioning and stuff. I've been up there many times. Yeah, they moved the brig out here, didn't they? Well, I guess we'll get us something to eat first. Then they're gonna have some announcements and stuff like that, and I guess then we'll do our little tour thing. And I'm gonna go walk around.
Please recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we celebrated that anniversary officially on the 17th of February, 2023. Just this past February, we had a big party, 80th birthday of the ship. We actually celebrate that every year. We have a big party in here every year to celebrate the birthday of the ship. We have a big band, 40s band, that's up here playing big band music up on the stage. People come out from all over town, dancing. Some of them dress up with food. It's a great, great event. And believe it or not, for anybody who worked on board the ship, you're gonna be shocked when I tell you this, but believe it or not, at the end of the night, we actually blow off fireworks inside the hangar bay. Oh, hello? Okay, that's a lot louder now. Pyrotechnics inside the hangar bay, absolutely forbidden, right, when the ship is operational. But we do, we blow some fireworks in here, confetti, and it's just a really great celebration. But this year was the 80th anniversary. So something we did a little bit special this year for the 80th was we actually had 2 cakes that came out as well. These cakes were made in the shape of a ship. And one was in the World War II configuration with a straight flight deck, and the other was in the more modern, the current configuration with the angle deck. That's the configuration of the ship ever since 1955. And so we had these two cakes here, and to commemorate the newer version of the ship, the way it is now, one of our former board members, who was a naval aviator that had landed on board this ship, he unfortunately passed away a few weeks back, but he cut that cake with me. The other cake, the World War II version of the cake, he had two 94-year-old young gentlemen. One of them was a former crew, worked in the number 2 fire room of this ship during World War II. The other was a gentleman who worked on board the USS Franklin, which was another Essex-class carrier in World War II. For those who do not know, USS Franklin was a CD-13. If you're superstitious at all, it actually was, except for the USS Arizona, the most heavily damaged ship in World War II. A lot of loss of life on that ship, but he was a survivor of that battle, and he was here aboard as well. The Franklin was doing their final reunion. There was only 2 survivors left, and they did their final reunion on board the ship in February, and so he cut the cake as well. And these 2 guys with the sword, and they cut the cake, and they were aiming right for the little toy planes on top of the cake and smashing into the plate deck. That had a hard landing. And look at that, it was really awesome. But what an honor to get to celebrate this ship. What an honor to get to celebrate the time with those veterans as well. And now we have the honor of celebrating with y'all. Blood, sweat, and tears that you poured into this ship, and that life of this ship. We still feel it, and appreciate your service on board. So thank you again for being here. For those who don't know, I am Steve Banta. I'm the executive director here at the USS Lexington Museum. I'm also a Navy veteran, 26 years flying helicopters. I did my flight training here in Corpus Christi, Texas. My wife's from Corpus Christi, and getting to be here and then serving on this ship. I've been here almost 6 years now. Getting to serve here is just a real honor, and something that I take seriously, and our crew takes seriously. You'll see some of the crew out here with you. If you look around, you see all these folks wearing the yellow shirts here, and then also Melanie was just waving there as our historian. We got our volunteers wearing yellow shirts. We have Rochelle here that runs our special events. Debbie runs our volunteers. We got folks who's back there, Eric, Tyler, Blake, that are helping out. And we've got a lot of crew members. We've got some more volunteers over here. And these folks love working here, and they are preserving your ship. And we get to share the stories of this ship with all of our guests who come aboard. And it's a real honor to get to work here. This is more than just a place to work. You can work anywhere, but people that are here really believe in the mission of what we're doing, celebrating your legacy, and so it's a real honor to have you back aboard. Okay, so let's see. Let's figure out here who is the oldest Lexington service member in the group. Not just by age, but in the service. Okay, so let's see who here was serving aboard the USS Lexington before 1960, 1959 or earlier. 1959 or earlier. Put your hands up high. Leave them up there. 59 or earlier. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. How about 58? 58 or earlier. Okay, how about 57? Leave them up. 57. 57. I know right over here. Any more 57 right here? How about 56? 56. 55. 55. Yes, sir. 55. Anybody else serving on the ship in 1955 when the ship was recommissioned? Plane owner when the ship was recommissioned. We got 2 right here. These 2 gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Appreciate all what y'all do. And let's see, what about who's the youngest one in the group here? Who's the youngest one in the group? Who is still anybody who can Bob thinks it was him? Is anybody still serving aboard the ship in either 1988 or later? 1988 or later? Anybody? 1990? You were still serving aboard 1990? Okay, I think you're the youngest, so thank you for being here. Okay, thank you. Got a great turnout here. Appreciate y'all for coming. back to your ship, and then also bringing your family members. As you know, even when you were serving operationally, when you were serving in the Navy, nobody could do the job they were doing without the support of those at home. And so the fact that you've got your family members here with you as well is a really big deal. So thank you all for coming. I do want to also thank, here's Donna. Donna, I just saw you there. Donna is part of our crew as well, and her team does all the food preparation. Donna's over here, thank you. And okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you're going to get to do today. Who wants to go back to their old workspaces? Yeah, who wants to go back and see birthing spaces? Right? Almost everybody wants to see something like that. So we have our volunteers are in the yellow shirts over here, and they're available after when the lunch is over. They are available for two things. One, they're available for off-route tours. Okay, you can go on your own anywhere you want to, all over the ship. We have 5 tour routes. You stay within the yellow chains. Those are the safe areas that we allow all the guests to go to. Free reign of the ship, anywhere you want to go within that area. If you want to go off-route, past the chains, to your old spaces, there's only about 30% of the ship that's open to the public. And some of the spaces that are not open to the public look exactly the same as the day the Navy gave us the ship, and we have not touched them other than some basic preservation. There's broken desks in there. There's paperwork from 1989 in drawers. Okay, so we have not touched and beautified all of those areas of the ship, and we would love to show them to you. We would like to go with you just to make sure you know where some of the safe areas are. And there are some soft spots in some parts of the deck because it's an old 80-year-old ship, and so we want to make sure that you're taken care of. So if you would like to go off route and see some spaces like that after lunch, please go and see our folks over here in the yellow shirts. And then we may have to have a little sign-up sheet so we know when to take, if you want to go to the same area together, and we can get you there in a group. If you have different times, maybe you want to tour the ship and then meet up with them later to go off route. We can set a schedule. We can work it any way that works for you to get you to where you want to go on board the ship so you can see what you want to see when we're here. Okay, so that's one thing. Included in that is if anybody is an amateur ham radio operator, we do have the radio room open and available. The ham radios up there still work. We have a club that does that. We have a gentleman here today who does that. I don't see him right now, but I know that, where's Tony? Tony, up in the radio, is he up there already? Okay, so anyway, that's part of the available areas where you can go off route and see some things on the ship is up in the radio room. If somebody wants to do that, then that is also available. Okay, so that's one, the tours. Okay, the second thing is we have what we call the oral history program. The oral history program, we started a few years ago. Our volunteers are archiving the stories of the veterans who made this ship what it is. We also do oral history interviews with any other veterans, even those that are not Navy. We're trying to preserve stories of people who have served their nation, that live in this local area, and others. But predominantly, the oral history program is Navy veterans, and for that, most of those are former crew. Okay, so we would love to have your story preserved of your time on board the Lexington or anything else about your service when you were working for the Navy during your time of service. And if you would be interested, and we would love to have all of you. If you haven't done it, some people did it 4 years ago. If you were here before, who was here 4 years ago? Quite about half, okay. Well, who here this time is your first time back aboard the ship since you left the Navy? Wow. Welcome back. That's great too. That's great too. If you are interested in giving us your story, we would love to interview you and let you tell some stories, colorful as they may be, right? If you want to tell some stories about your time on the ship and anything else, we want to hear about that. And please, we have, again, our volunteers that are over here, right here. You want to raise your hands up, those two gentlemen that are right there, these three that are right here. Anyway, any of you, so please go to them after the lunch and let them know if you're interested in a tour or an interview or both. Please don't be shy about the interviews. Some people feel like, maybe my story's not important. All the stories are important. serving aboard this ship is important. We want to preserve that legacy and the life that is here in the ship. In addition to that, we are currently working on our next big exhibit. Is called Women of the Navy. And I think I mentioned it 4 years ago for anybody that was here. I may have mentioned it then too. We were just starting to think about how we're going to do that. COVID hit, everything got delayed. We're about halfway done renovating some spaces to put that new exhibit in. It's going to be one of the most advanced, state-of-the-art exhibits we've ever done. It's very high-tech, a lot of visual and interactive things. But it's going to be, because this ship was the first ship that had women serving aboard officially in the summer of 1980. Some of those veterans are here with us tonight. Appreciate your service and for being here today. And so we are going to do an exhibit that really showcases the history of women's service to the Navy from pre-World War I all the way through today and beyond. And so that's going to be opening, we hope sometime by the end of the year, maybe early in the next year. But again, we would love to have your stories. We think be part of that exhibit. But everybody that's here, we would love to have your stories. So those are the two things. Please do consider being part of those things. When the lunch is over, you can talk to our volunteers, and they'll be available for you for that. Okay. I'm going to just say a couple more quick things, and then if it's okay with y'all, I'm going to open it up to questions, because you may have a question about something that's going on around the ship. But let me just tell you real quick some of the major projects we're working on. Like I said, we have a great crew on board. If you remember how many sailors served on this ship when you were serving aboard, even in the 60s, 70s, and beyond, when this ship was a training carrier and there was less crew aboard, even then, there was thousands of sailors on board the ship, right? To make the ship operate every job that was needed. Our staff on this ship, we have a paid staff of 70 people. 70. Of that, at least half are administrative, admissions clerks, store, HR, accounting, marketing, you name it, right? And then we have roughly about 100 volunteers on the books. And not all the volunteers are as active as others, but some of them are very active and are here all the time. We cannot do what we do without our great volunteers that come here. But even with the volunteers, you're looking at maybe max of about 150 or so people that come here regularly to do a job and to help preserve the ship and to make it run. Not 2,000. I was just talking with Bob. He was talking about the paint crew on the ship when it was in Pensacola. And the paint crew would take care of the ship while it was in port. And I guess they got the privilege of, they didn't go under, when the ship went underway to catch the new students that were coming out for their DOQs. They didn't get underway with the ship. I hadn't heard that before. But even in that team, there was probably, 100 postmates of people that did that painting. Our paint crew is 7 people. Right? So we have a small team. They work hard, and we're doing it to preserve your legacy. We really greatly appreciate your service. And I personally love working here. I love our crew. And thankfully that they're here and preserving the ship. So we're working hard to make the ship look good. I hope you like the way it looks. We have a lot of things where we try to pay homage to the service of the Navy and the veterans who have been here. We also, you'll notice there's a lot of things around the ship that will look different to you than the way it was. And that's because we want to make sure that it's also exciting for our guests that come aboard that have no Navy service. We want to make sure it's also entertaining and enjoyable for them. So we have aircraft in certain areas of the ship, maybe they weren't here serving aboard when you were here. Our World War II era aircraft are in the hangar bay for better preservation. All that aircraft on the flight deck, most of them, that type of aircraft landed on this ship at some point. Some did not, but it's a very corrosive environment. It's very difficult to maintain those aircraft, and we have a small team that does aircraft restoration as well. We're taking care of the ship, but we're also trying to provide a great venue for family entertainment and commemoration of service here for our guests on board. We are currently working on a complete overhaul and renovation of the number 3 aircraft elevator. The number 1 elevator is the pit forward to midships. That is a movie theater now. We have a great 3D movie theater. If you're tired of walking around, you want to rest your feet, sit in some air conditioning, I would recommend doing that. But that's where the number 1 elevator used to be. Number 2 elevator used to be right out here. Of course, in the 70s, the Navy took that out of service. I don't remember exactly when, but that's the only records we can find. And so was never operable for us anyway. But the number 3 aircraft elevator is still fully operable. We have currently taken it out of service we're changing out all the fluid, we're changing all the valves, all the lines. It's a complete overhaul. No one, in any record we can find, no one has ever completely overhauled an Essex class carrier number 3 aircraft elevator and brought it back up to specs with original equipment or some refurbished valves and some of that stuff that we've done. So it's a great undertaking. It's taken us a long time to do it because we want to make sure it's done right. And we have a team from the Navy that contracts for their operational aircraft elevators today. They are helping us with it to make sure that we're up to specs. And when that's back up and running, it's going to be beautiful. But for 30 years here running as a museum, we've been running that elevator. And it's a lifeblood of the ship. We need to get the aircraft up and down for hurricanes and for restoration and whatnot. So we're currently doing that. We are refurbing the entire hull. We want to make sure that the ship is going to be lasting here for years to come. So we're refurbishing parts of the hull. You can probably see as you're coming up here some of the new paint, some of the restoration we're doing there. We're also doing a lot of restoration work up on the flight deck. You'll see that when you're up there. Years ago, to preserve what is underneath, we put a layer of asphalt over that sealed the deck. And as any road will do over time, it will deteriorate. So we're fixing that right now as well. And we are also working on that large exhibit project we're doing in the Navy. So 4 major projects that we're running right now in addition to everything else. We're very busy, but we've got a great crew, and we hope that it's something that we're proud of, and we're just really honored to have you there. So at this point, if anybody has any questions about the ship, anything about the service of the ship, something about the museum, and anything that we're doing now, I'd be more than happy to entertain them. Anybody here at all? Yes, sir.
Who owns the ship now?
Who owns the ship? That is a great question and something that is not easily answered. So I will tell you the way I see who owns the ship. And I believe that I have the right paperwork to back this up. So first off, who could own an aircraft carrier other than the government, right? It is, billions of dollars. And so the U.S. government does donate ships to organizations to be used as museums. But in that deed that we have, that contract, it says that if we do not preserve the ship properly and keep a good reputation for the United States Navy, they'll come and take it back. That power is ownership. You can't come and take it back if you don't own it, in my opinion. So to me, the U.S. Navy still owns the ship. However, we have been given full custody of service in order to take care of the ship. And the Navy has $0 in their budget. How many dollars in the budget did they give you guys every day while you were out in the Gulf of Mexico? It was slim pickings at the bottom of the totem pole for maintenance dollars for the Lexington when they were doing the budget, right? And you guys all made it work anyway. Now there are $0 in the Navy budget to help us to give them a good name when we do the PR by having this museum look good. We have to do it all ourselves. And if I say, hey, you own the ship, they go, oh, no, we don't own the ship. You guys, that's your problem. They don't give us any money. They don't give us any love. And we're lucky on occasion that we can get some spare doors when a ship is decommissioned somewhere else, or we can get a part for an aircraft or something like that. That's about it. Our crew does all the work. We raise all the money, and we do everything that it takes as basically a privately run organization. The Navy has deeded the ship to our board of directors, our association that is our board of directors, and those directors delegate that authority to me, and which is delegated to our department heads and out to our staff. And so as far as like who's actually doing the work to make it happen, our crew does all that work, and the board of directors to the Navy is what runs the ship. But ultimately, the Navy does have that bottom line ownership, but they'll never act on it. They can't afford it. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Any other questions about the museum? Yes, sir. What you got? I'm sorry, 1,500 miles. Say that again. Okay, he says he lives 1,500 miles away. the ship here as a museum, your old home, right? Okay, so here's a few things that you could do. Number one, I would say join the ship museum as a member. We have paperwork that we could have you sign when you're here. If you would like to help us, support us financially in any way to keep your ship going, you can join as a member. That does provide some privileges. We will also, that gives you discounts for things if you're ever back in the area. We do have events on board, movies on the flight deck, member overnights. If you want to sleep in the racks again, if you want to come do that, we have people do that. These ship is shaking his head, over here. I don't want to do that. We do have things for the privileges for members in that way. They're very affordable memberships, but every little bit helps. And so if you would like to join as a member to support us in that way, that's one of the ways you can do it. Another thing is, you keep our address in a card in the back pocket. And if you ever feel like you would like to make a donation, or if you have a connection with a corporation or somebody who would like to donate to the ship in order to maybe be a sponsor for an event, or to sponsor an exhibit, or to sponsor some of the artifacts that we have here on the tour routes, anything like that. If you are aware of any companies that you think are pro-military, and you think that a connection between me and them, maybe we could have a discussion about sponsorship where they could put their name in lights and say that, Tour Route 3 brought to you by Exxon or whatever, right? We're happy to do some things like that. And so that is also a blessing if you know of connections that way. So there's a few different ways to do it, and if it's something that you're interested in, I'd be more than happy to talk to you directly after lunch. I'll give you a business card, and you can always reach out to me later, and we can set up anything that is within your capabilities. And we would love to have that support anyway, even if we're just keeping in touch with each other, because we want to make sure that we have connected with our former crew. We have a list of former crew on our website. Not everybody's on there. We can put you all on there. And when we meet former crew that don't join, that are not members of your all's association, we try to always encourage them. Like, hey, somebody the other day said, you guys having a reunion? I said, that's your reunion. You should join the association, and then you'll know about what the reunions are. So we try to give back that way as well to your association. Does that help? Sir, did that answer your question? Okay, that's a great question. So his question was, there are other places on the internet that talk about associations and clubs and different things about, how do we know that it's the right one? And there are, for example, on social media, on Facebook, there are many different groups that say that they are the USS Lexington Association, or they are the USS Lexington reunion group, they are the USS Lexington chat group, or whatever. Honestly, there's 5, 6, 7, there's many different ones. I don't know why they don't all just join together and have one. They're all former crew. They could probably hang out better. We have joined all of them to try to keep up with people's questions, and we see a lot of the same people in all of them as well. And it seems labor intensive, but none of those officially have anything to do with the museum. Okay, so on social media, Facebook and things like that, our site will say USS Lexington Museum. That final word there is important. We are representing the USS Lexington in her service, but we officially, as an organization, are the USS Lexington Museum. And so that's how you see the difference of that. For example, our website, USS Lexington Museum, is actually USSLexington.com. You will see when it pops up. It says museum in the logo, and everything is there officially. So if you see other organizations, those are not necessarily us. However, I would always encourage you, you can donate to the association, the CD16 Association, that is this group here that does these reunions. I think that's great because you're supporting each other that way. But if you want to have $1 directly from here to prepare this deck, or paint the bulkhead, or something like that, then you need to go to the USS Lexington Museum site. Okay, did that answer that question? Yes, sir. Okay, great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Oh, yes, sir. Yes.
Is it tax deductible?
Yes, we can make your donation tax deductible. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, and it depends on what type. When people come here and they make a donation, then there's an association with an event. Like if you're paying to come to an event and doing it, then less the cost of the event is the legal way, and then the rest would be a donation. Or if you just mail us a check, and it's just a straight check like that, then that could be tax deductible. And we can make sure that you get the paperwork necessary to account for that. Absolutely, we'd be happy to do that for you. Okay, anybody else? Great, okay, well again, it's a real honor to have you here. It's a pleasure to preserve your ship. Welcome back, and I hope that you enjoy your stay while you're here. Thank you very much.
Thank Captain Banton for doing, being here with us and sharing with us what you're doing. It looks great. The next level of it's good. I don't really know that. We thank God for you. At this time, we're going to look at the presentation for you. And we just so excited. There's no need for presentation. The Lance is coming forward.
I'd like to present this Alasaka Japanese rifle with Captain Banton. It has history behind it. It came here on the Lexington. He was a member of our association, Dominic Rivera. He passed away several years ago, and his wife called me. We lived close to one another, and she said, "Would you like to have the stuff?" So I said, "Well, I said, yeah." So I'd like to return this rifle to the ship where it came from. He died in Tokyo Bay when the Lexington was there for the signing of peace treaty. And then a bunch of shipmates went on the beach, and we got souvenirs. So that's kind of the story. And how it's been.
Lance, and to the whole crew here, thank you so much. It's, we have artifacts on the ship, but to get something that has a story that actually connects it with the ship itself is priceless. And the fact that there was a former crew who actually was ashore in Japan and brought this rifle back aboard, and now that it's home again, we would be honored to give it a good home, and we'll make sure it's well preserved. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
And on behalf of the USS Lexington Association, we would like to present you with this check to help continue the purpose and the efforts that you're doing. We want to thank you for all that you're doing as President, Vice President, and all the other officers. We want to thank you, and we just appreciate you. So.
Thank you for your support, and we'll make sure it goes to good use preserving your ship. And welcome again. Thank you.
So honored to have Captain Banton. He also will be our banquet Thursday night, so we just so honored to have him. At this time, we are going to switch gears. We certainly want to honor our brothers and sisters that have passed on, and we're going to, at this moment, call out their names and recognize them. This memorial part of it. Who will be manning the bell? The names that we have today, we received 6. I'm sure that we have lost more brothers and sisters. If you know someone who is a part of the USS Lexington, get home, please reach out to them and let them know that as an association, we are concerned. As an association, we want to embrace them. The association wants to be a part of this association, so that when we lose loved ones or shipmates, we certainly will reach out and let them know that we'll feel that they're lost. Usually when we lose a shipmate, I get the information and I mail out a condolence card from the association. As a chaplain, I let them know that if they need to talk or just to get through this bereavement, wilderness that they're in, that I'm always available. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And so we certainly want to keep our brothers and sisters lifted up. And in the information that we get every quarter in our paper, my number's in there, and I'm always available to each of you because you are my brothers and sisters, and so is your family. And we just thank God for you. So at this time, the first thing that I'm going to read is Mr. Noah A. Brooke. Peter L. Garrow. Eugene J. Marks. John Clude Sr. Kenneth R. Willard. And James Tommy Denny Jr. And Mr. Denny, I want to let you know, not only did he serve in World War II, he served in Korea and Vietnam, and the Lord called him home. At this time, would you please come and get me? Thank you. Thank you so much. You're very much.
You have one bowl, one thing, one bar.